Hello.
Hello? Hi, I'm so sorry about that. I was actually just on the other line with Jonathan Murphy, who wrote the movie.
Okay, not a problem at all. First of all, I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I know you're really busy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
And I want to discuss Animal Among Us, but I have a few questions about some earlier stuff, if that's okay?
That is fine.
Perfect.
I expect it.
Of course. I can remember a time when my grandma had asked me if I had ever seen 10 Things I Hate About You. I had, but she loved that film, and so we watched it. We watched it a lot. Because of her love, I have to ask about it. I took a I took a Shakespeare course in college, and we watched your film alongside the 1967 classic, Taming of the Shrew. Looking back, did you ever imagine how much impact this film would have on the future of 300-level English courses?
No. But you know what's really interesting is I do remember, I guess it was before 10 Things, I do remember really advocating for the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Yeah. And my point being that I was like, this makes me want to go back to the text. This makes me, and that's, I think, I've heard that a lot about 10 Things I Hate About You. It's like, it's a way in. It's a way into some classic literature. And I think any sort of inroads that we can be providing to get people back to the source, great. It's also, you know, incredibly charming and clever in its own right.
I like that you said clever, because that definitely leads me to my next question. I don't know if you have Disney Plus, but when I booted it up and organized the films alphabetically, of course, the very first thing is 10 Things. Also, on my social medias, I've begun to notice a sort of resurgence with the film. I mean, even the Hollywood Reporter listed it as one of the top things that you have to watch if you have the Disney app. While I'm sure...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know, I thought it was pretty awesome. My generation, the generation that grew up with it, we will always love this film. But what about the kids today? What do you think the movie is clever enough to keep the attention of the Gen Zers?
You know, I wish I knew more about what the Gen Zers were up to. I'm pretty out of the loop. But I am surprised by the amount of teenagers who come up to me. And I just recently, I was on the train. I live in New York most of the time, and I was on the subway, and there was a mother-daughter duo who were like, oh my gosh, we watch together all the time. I guess you heard what you were saying with your grandma. And it was like the mom was saying like, oh, I loved this movie, and now I watch it with my daughter. And so there's something that's kind of cool about that. And I mean, you know, I remember watching, when I was in high school, I watched the previous generation's high school movies, and there's something about that time in our lives that's pretty universal. You know, not much changes about the high school experience. I mean, you know, there's social media now, but I mean, the experience of just trying to relate when you are that age is always going to be great fodder for entertainment. Because it's so awkward and also so exciting. So yeah, I do think it still translates.
Yeah, I agree with you, because like it's well acted, the message is clear, and like there's a timelessness to it which I can really appreciate. I want to look a little further back, and I'd be mad at myself if I didn't mention Alex Mack.
Well, don't be mad at yourself.
I loved that show. I have to mention it.
That's not what today is about.
Well, I'm sure.
Oh, good, thank you.
Well, I'm sure being the main focus of any show, especially at that age, is stressful enough. Was there an added pressure with headlining a show that was to replace Clarissa Explains It All, like a proven show. You were saying?
If anything, coming right after Clarissa was such an advantage, I think, because people were like really primed for. She was one of the first characters that I saw on television that I was like, okay, this resonates with me. This I can see myself in her. She was one of the first. But then, gosh, Blossom. Yeah, I guess pretty much just those two.
Yeah, that's really it.
But so I think for me, and I mean, I looked up to Clarissa and I looked up to Melissa so much that I actually think it just provided a really easy transition for us. I think our show really benefited from coming right after their show. And I did. I mean, like I was constantly just like fangirling about her every time we were in the same room together.
You got to poke fun at Alex with Robot Chicken. What was it like revisiting that character, and how did you get involved with that particular project?
Oh my gosh, I barely even remember doing that, except for they just reached out, but it's really, I mean, I used to have the biggest crush on Seth. Like, I was a big Buffy fan. And so I had the biggest crush on Seth. And I think I remember that was pretty much my experience. It wasn't really revisiting the character, it was just revisiting my, like, 15-year-old self, like, who had photos of him all over my room. And I think I even said something. I was like, oh, it's like, I have the biggest crush on you. And I think he was like, yeah, I know, like, everyone told me. Because I was constantly getting people to, like, have him sign photos for me. And I mean, just because you're on TV, it in no way diminishes the appeal of other people who are on TV.
Yeah.
Where everyone gets to be a fan.
That's awesome. This is the last of the Alex Mack, just so you know. I read that you had turned down season 5 because you wanted to keep the character innocent, and I can understand that. With streaming services the way they are, and the recent deal between Netflix and Nickelodeon, if offered, would you ever want to return to the secret world? That gets batted around all the time.
I mean, I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know. It would have to be really special, because my experience was really special, and I do feel, I maintain that I think it was the right choice to end the show when we did. It was also the right time for me. I just needed to go back to school for a little bit, and it was the right time for me, and everyone was so incredibly understanding. I have to give such credit to Nickelodeon and to our creator, Tommy Lynch, and to all of the writers, and everyone was so understanding, and so supportive, and we all loved this character and this show so much. Like, and so none of that ever changed. So I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know. Tommy and I have talked about it before.
Yeah, I also.
It would have to be really special.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to see more if it wasn't like thought out. And I read that Ken Lipman, he has a script ready to go. So worst case scenario, if not maybe another season, like kind of like a catch up movie, like
I didn't realize.
Like they Netflix did a movie with like a catch up movie with like Rocco, and that was pretty cool. It was a little bit political, but at the same time, what isn't these days, but just maybe like just how things are going, type of movie or something.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, Ken's a brilliant writer, so we'll see. I should text him.
Yeah, I found that I found that out today, so I thought that was pretty cool. And
Oh, that's interesting. Ken's fantastic. He's a brilliant writer and a fantastic human being. So
perfect. Well,
we shall see.
this is a bit of a jump, but you share last names with a UFC fighter, one of my favorites actually, and I have no idea how common or uncommon the name Oleynik it actually is. But considering it's not a name that I hear every day, is there any relation to UFC heavyweight Alexei Oleynik?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of. I actually think it's more. I mean, it is Russian, so I think it's more common than one might think. And there is I've seen different variations of it as well, there's a Polish version. And anyway, but not that I know of. But I should ask all my cousins in Pennsylvania, see if there's some sort of distant relation. But that's cool. That's the first I've heard of it.
Well, and it kind of leads me to Animal Among Us. Speaking of MMA fighters, Don Fry plays Burl in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's arguably, I don't know if you know this, but he's one of the best fighters of all time.
Oh, I didn't. We definitely watched some of his stuff. I actually don't. I know, even though I know it's theater, I don't really watch fighting that much. It's still, I totally get its function. But and then we definitely watched some videos of his. But I did not know that he is considered one of the greatest fighters of all time. Listen, he's certainly the fun human being to be around. One of my favorite photos that I took on set was just of a big bottle of whiskey with a big bottle of Tums next to it, and that was John Fry's.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, he's really funny. And I think that character, he was perfect for the character for sure.
Yeah, he basically played himself. It was perfect. Yeah, the reason I wanted to mention him is that he has this infamous YouTube video, and it's him fighting in Japan, and it's these two guys, they just run up and just punch each other in the face multiple times. It's to the point where it just doesn't look real, and they never stop. It just goes from bell to bell to bell, and then so since then he's just kind of been one of those unanimous names that you always remember, or infamous names you remember with classic MMA. When I saw him, it was a pleasant surprise, if you will.
That's so cool.
So, I only see a few horror films listed kind of on your catalog. So when I saw your name, I was a little surprised. Do you tend to avoid horror films, or is it just kind of a coincidence that there's so few?
I scare very easily. I don't like scary things. In fact, so I don't watch scary movies. What did I have to turn off the other day? Oh my God, I was trying to watch I was trying to watch the American Crime Story. I was trying to watch the Versace thing. I had to turn it off because even that scared me too much. Scream terrified me. I was just talking with someone about haunted houses, and it's I can't even do the ones that are in church basements for 5-year-olds. I can't do it. I can't do any of it. So I know. So why did I do this movie? Well, I thought it was funny.
Yeah. I
thought it was really funny. I think it's less of a horror movie, because I think I even asked Murphy that from the get-go. I was because I knew him before, and I think I even asked him. I was like, is this scary? Is this about a serial killer? I can't do these things, and I can't even read them, or else they will scar me. And I was like, you're responsible if I can't sleep. But the thing that I like about this is that it is such a ride. It really feels like a ride to me. And it has a sense of humor, and I think it's twisty and it's dark. I don't mind going to dark places, because I think then it becomes more about, and what this movie is about too, is that it's more about our humanity and about what resides inside of all of us, that has the ability to turn so sinister and primal basically. And so that's what drew me in more than anything. Yeah. No, but but horror, it's not my genre. I respect it. Things scare the shit out of me, and then I can't go back.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like an urban legend type film. Like it's more about the Bigfoot idea. So so less dark, more Bigfoot, more Loch Ness type stuff is more your speed.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, I was a big Buffy fan. Like I like mythology and archetype and things like that. You know, I was saying, I think there's a reason, like, these stories that get passed down, you know, there's a reason for it.
And I was also... go ahead.
No, go ahead, I was done.
I was really impressed with, like, the set design, and it seemed to be staged fairly well. Were you guys actually on a campground, or, like, how did they make that look so good?
Yes. It looks so good because we are actually on a campground. That is a camp in Ohio that we all stayed at.
Yeah.
We all lived there for 2 weeks. Christine, who plays Poppy, who played my sister, she and I shared a cabin. And then actually the first night I think I was there, I shared a room with Heather Tom. Like, we were in, like, mess halls and cabins, and it was real. It was so cool. So all of the sets that you see, I mean, yes, there's embellishments, but, like, pretty much everything that you see is there a part of that camp, those old buildings. It was creepy. It was fun. It was fun. But, talk about method acting. It's just like, well, here we all are. Yeah.
Which, that's what I thought. I thought maybe...
No one can leave. We didn't have cars. We were just kind of stuck there. It was crazy. The only thing, I will tell you that the scariest thing was the food. The scariest thing was the camp food. And I think we all lost about 10 pounds because we were eating camp food.
Wow.
And drinking whiskey, apparently. That's what the whiskey was for.
Yeah.
It was to get the camp food down.
So, yeah, I assumed that it was a campground, and I would also assume, kind of like you touched on it a bit, that would kind of help, help you stay in character, actually living on the grounds. Your character, Anita Bishop, she carries a gun for a good portion of the film. How would you rate your shooting skills? Are you a gunsman, or is that something that's different for you?
Well, I think I actually I was just saying I was a little concerned about trying to make the gun stuff look realistic, and I also think that we are living in a time where we're trying not to glorify gun use, but she is a ranger.
Yeah.
Then they do, and they do have legal jurisdiction in that area, and then, once you break out the big guns, it's because we are literally hunting a monster. So, but I always want to check in with stuff like that too, because I think it's important, because that kind of representation in film really matters. Also, smoking is bad. So I've worked with guns before, and I actually I'm a pretty decent shot. I had a BB gun growing up. BB gun that I was really into growing up. So yes, I'm not a bad shot, but I haven't ever shot a real gun.
Well, I will say it definitely did look real, and that's why I had to ask.
Yeah. I checked in with everyone from time to time to make sure it looked realistic. Because, I mean, the reality is that she would be very comfortable with guns. Yeah.
Well, I will say that's kind of really all I have for you. But before I let you go, I was told that you're calling me from a set. Can you talk a bit about what you're working on, or what we can expect next from you?
This one I'm not sure I can talk about, but I do have a Netflix show coming out in the new year, in 2020. Ginge, I think, I'm not totally sure, but that is for Netflix Family. It's a really, really sweet family show called The Healing Powers of Dude. And it just happens to follow a 12-year-old boy and his relationship with his emotional support dog. and I'm playing the mom. So it's like, it's so fun. I'm like passing the baton. It's really fun to get to see this kid over the summer, kind of thrust into the same situation that I was thrust in, and he handled himself so beautifully. And I'm really proud of the show. I think it's a family show, but it's like genuinely funny and it's genuinely sweet without being like syrupy. It'll just make you feel good. So if you have like nieces and nephews, like watch it with them.
Okay, will do. And what was it called one more time?
It's called The Healing Powers of Dude.
Okay, cool.
Dude is the name of the dog.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for letting us know. I know that a lot of the types of shows like that on Netflix usually do pretty well, and we will keep a lookout for that for when it does drop. Before I let you go,
a very different story about an animal.
Is there anything you want to mention about Animal Among Us before we let you go?
Anything else I want to mention? No, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really did. I liked the twist and the turns, and it kept me interested all the way to the end. And that's kind of the general consensus as far as I could find online, that most people enjoyed that, and I really liked that bit of it. And I think people should check it out because of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you get the sense of humor, then you're just kind of along for it and having a good time. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing, and Larisa, you're doing just fine. Thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure. You have no idea how much this means to me, so thank you so much for speaking with me and taking the time.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.